So I went ahead and tested a bunch of Switch 2 accessories so you won't have to. And these are some of the ones that I think are definitely worth checking out. Now, I'm not just gonna be showing you guys a bunch of gear and accessories and whatnot. I'm gonna be showing you the problem that each one solves for the Switch 2, because depending on how you use it, you might not need all of these. Let's go ahead and check them out. The first thing I'd look at here is storage, especially if you plan on buying lots of digital games. The important detail with the Switch 2 is that it uses microSD Express, not a regular microSD card. So even if you already have older cards laying around from the original Switch or any of your other devices, that does not automatically mean they're the right upgrade here. The one I picked up is a 256GB microSD Express card rated for up to 880 megabytes per second read and 650 megabytes per second write. The speed matters because Switch 2 games are actually built around faster storage than the previous system. So the pickup here is not necessarily the brand name, it's the format. The microSD Express, enough capacity for digital games and fast enough read speeds for the console itself. If you find that you're mostly digital, this is one of the first accessories I'd sort out, because buying the wrong card is the easiest way to waste money. If you're still buying physical games, on the other hand, then the storage problem is a bit different. You don't need more digital space. What you actually need is a better way to keep your cartridges organized. This case holds up to 40 game cards and 40 microSD cards, so it works more like a small library organizer than a basic cartridge holder, which is handy since the Switch 2 leaves you juggling new games, older Switch cartridges, and SD storage cards all the time. The layout is sectioned so you can group games however you like, and the hard shell with soft lining protects the cards from scratches and daily wear. It's small enough to drop into a travel case or a sling, and the magnetic closure makes it quick to open. It's not a flashy accessory, but if you buy physical often, it's one of the cleaner ways I've found to carry a Switch 2 library around. Next is protection, and the screen protector is low-key one of those boring accessories that I think people should actually pick up early. The Switch 2 is a handheld, so the screen is constantly being touched, docked, packed, and pulled out of bags. A tempered glass screen protector is pretty cheap compared to the console, and it gives you that extra layer of protection before scratches become permanent. The default option I'd recommend for most people is the clear tempered glass version, and what matters here is that it keeps the screen sharp. It gives you scratch and impact protection, has a fingerprint resistant coating, and includes an alignment frame so the install is not annoying or time consuming. There's also an anti-glare and an Obsidian AR version if glare is your main issue, but I haven't tested those ones yet, so for this video I'm sticking with the clear tempered glass version because that's the one that I've actually used and can stand by. Either way, this is one of the easiest first upgrades for keeping the Switch 2 screen completely protected. I tested a bunch of cases up next, and instead of ranking them like there's one winner and everything else loses, I want to frame this around how you actually use the Switch 2. For me, the deciding factor is ultimately travel and on-the-go use, because I play handheld and when I'm on the move more than anything. So that's the lens I'm going to be judging these through. My first pick, and the one I'd point most people at, is called the Split Protective Case. It's a split design case, so you get a slim rear shell, comfortable detachable grips, and a hard shell front cover that protects the screen and the Joy-Cons. It pops off easily when you're ready to play and goes back on the same when you're done. The front cover also comes with 10 game card slots built right into it, and the hybrid CPU and PC builds gives you solid drop protection without feeling bulky. You can pull the Joy-Cons off without taking the whole case off, and the rear shell still fits the original Switch 2 dock while it's on the device. Well, that's without the front cover on, of course. The reason this one takes the top spot for me is simple. It has this U-shaped cutout that keeps the built-in Switch 2 kickstand fully usable. So you get all the everyday protection and grip comfort without giving up that tabletop mode. Now, coming in at a very close second is the split everyday case, and honestly, these two are neck and neck. The travel mode option is definitely the most compact travel-friendly case in my entire lineup. The only reason it slips to second place for me is that it covers the built-in kickstand instead of cutting out for it. So with this one, you're relying on the included modular stand, which is an additional piece just for tabletop play. Now, if travel is your absolute top priority like it is mine, the split everyday case travel mode version is fantastic, but for most people, that kickstand cutout on the split protective case is worth the small trade-off. Besides, the difference between the two in terms of portability isn't very much. The biggest difference in the thickness comes from the hardshell cover on the split protective case, and it really is not that much thicker than a travel mode split everyday case. There's also a modular case called the mod case, and this one is built for attaching things like power banks, fans, hubs, and pretty much any small item you can think of directly to the back of the Switch 2. These are small, but they actually make a lot of sense for a handheld. The thumbstick grips and guards improve the feel of the sticks, as well as help protect them when the console is going in and out of cases or bags. Now, this is not necessarily an accessory I'd say everyone needs, but if you travel with the Switch 2 a lot or you're picky about the way the sticks feel, then I'd say it's an easy low-cost upgrade worth considering. Personally, I like this kind of accessory because it solves a real everyday problem without really changing the entire setup. For charging, I want to say up front that both of these are great and both are travel friendly. So this is not a case of one being good or one being bad. They both charge up to 4 Joy-Cons at the same time. So functionally, they do the same core job. My first pick is the EnergyFlow dock. The only real reason that it edges ahead for me is the built-in RGB lighting. It looks better on a desk, it keeps the Joy-Cons displayed and organized, and it makes it obvious which controllers are charged and ready. So, if you care about how your setup looks while still keeping everything charged, this is the one that I definitely grab. My second pick is the compact 4-channel charging station, and honestly, for a lot of people, this might be the smarter buy. It charges the same 4 Joy-Cons, but it has a slimmer profile and takes up less space, which makes it even easier to pack and travel with. So the way I'd frame it is, if you want the RGB and the display piece look, go for the EnergyFlow. And if you want the slimmest, most low profile look and way to keep 4 Joy-Cons charged, the compact station is just as good. For docking, my first pick is the OmniCentro, and the deciding factor for me again here is travel. This is the option I'd look at if you want a more portable all-in-one setup. The main idea is simple here. Instead of carrying the full Switch 2 dock, a separate charger, and extra cables, this puts the dock, the USB-C power, and HDMI output into one compact unit. For Switch 2, the useful part is that it supports the kind of TV and monitor output most people actually care about, which is up to 4K at 60 Hz on the console. So if you're plugging into a hotel TV, a desk monitor, or a second room setup, it gives you a much cleaner way to get docked play without having to rebuild your entire setup every time. My second pick is the POWKONG Piranha Plant dock, and I want to be clear that it's just a different kind of buy from the OmniCentro, not a worse one. The OmniCentro wins for me purely on travel since I can pack it and use it as both a charger and an HDMI dock. This one is the stationary setup piece, and it's genuinely fantastic for a TV or monitor setup that stays put. You can plug the Switch 2 into the USB-C dock, run HDMI out to a TV or a monitor, and get full 4K 60 Hz docked mode. So for a desk, couch setup, or a gaming room, it gives you the visual personality without giving up the basic dock function. It also doubles as a controller charging station, which is probably the biggest functional reason it earns a spot. It can charge the Switch and up to 6 Joy-Cons at the same time, with 4 magnetic charging slots on the arms and 2 more on the Switch's cradle. So, if you have a family setup, a party setup, or just a lot of Joy-Cons, this keeps everything in one place instead of spreading chargers across the desk. It also has a few nice touches: active cooling for longer sessions, ambient lighting, and hidden USB-A and Type-C ports to keep the desk clean. So I wouldn't call this a travel pick necessarily, more like a fun home dock for people who want their Switch 2 setup to look more Nintendo, charge multiple controllers, and still work as a proper TV dock. Now, quick note on these next 2 items. Both of my travel picks, I think, are excellent, and both have plenty of capacity to carry the Switch 2 plus a bunch of accessories, but they do not fit the console exactly the same way. The The all-in-one is the better pick if you want to carry the complete kit, while the Sling or the crossbody bag is the one that can hold the Switch 2 with the full protective case while it's still on. So this really comes down to what kind of carry setup you want, and honestly, the style as well, not which one is better. My first pick for bigger full haul travel is the all-in-one carrying bag, and that's because it's designed around the whole Switch 2 setup with space for the console, dock, Joy-Cons, grip, cables, and game cartridges. Plus, it has a custom interior layout so nothing slides around or gets scratched while you're on the move. It's got a water-resistant exterior and shock-absorbent body that make it far better for travel or tossing around in the car than a soft pouch. It also comes with both a hand strap and a shoulder strap, so it doubles as its own travel bag when it needs to. It's not the smallest option out there though, but that's kind of the point. It's definitely what I'd use when I want my entire Switch 2 kit all in one place. My second pick is a sling bag, and this one is more about style and mobility. It's the more stylish option and the easier one to travel with when you actually want to use the device on the move, since it sits across your body and is quick to grab and go. It still has the capacity to carry the console, a few accessories, a charger, and some games, and it fits the Switch 2 with the full protective case still on it. So the choice between these two really comes down to preference. The all-in-one is the full haul option, and the Sling is the everyday across the body carry. Both are genuinely great. They just solve slightly different travel needs. For play upgrades, my first pick is actually the JoyVerse dual grip. This grip is lighter and far more travel friendly than a full controller, which is exactly why it takes the top spot for me here. The idea is simple. You keep using the Joy-Cons, but the grip gives your hands more to hold on to, so it feels more like a traditional controller and is much more comfortable to use for longer sessions. If you don't want to buy a full separate controller, or you just want a simple packable option that makes the Joy-Cons feel less cramped and unergonomic, then this is the one I'd start with. Now my second pick is the newly released 8-bit Do Ultimate 2, and I want to make it immediately clear that this is undoubtedly the better controller overall. The only reason it's not my first pick is that it's bigger and harder to travel with, so I see it more as a home use controller. If you play mostly docked, tabletop, or couch multiplayers, this is a fantastic upgrade. It's loaded with features like TMR joysticks, Hall effect triggers, extra rear pedals, and L4, R4 bumpers, motion control, turbo, and RGB lighting. It also works beyond the Switch on PC, mobile, and on SteamOS. It connects over 2.4G wired as well as Bluetooth and comes with the charging dock and a 2.4G adapter. It also comes with its own software that lets you remap buttons, tune sticks and triggers, and save profiles. Now, for a mostly handheld player, I feel like it may be more than you need, but for a home setup user, it's probably one of the strongest controller upgrades for the Switch 2 out there. The steering wheel is the fun one, but it's awfully specific. It only really makes sense if you play racing games like Mario Kart and want that casual motion control feeling. I wouldn't necessarily call this an essential Switch 2 accessory. It's more of a party game add-on or something I'd save for maybe a Mario Kart setup. The single Joy-Con grips are a multiplayer accessory more than anything. If you find that you play Mario Kart, party games, or anything where everyone grabs a single Joy-Con, these give each one a better hand feel and make that sideways grip a lot less awkward. I wouldn't buy them for solo play though, but for family sessions or quick couch multiplayer with friends, they're a cheap, fun little upgrade. Now, if I were only buying a few items, I'd start with the storage upgrade, a screen protector, and then one accessory based on how I actually use the console. If you travel, look at the carry options. If you play docked, look at the docks and controller upgrades. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in my next video. It's Tommy, and I'm out, y'all.